Hey team, welcome to part 2 of the Build an App Day tutorial. In last session you learned a little bit about Xcode, and in this session we're going to take you through actually beginning to build your application, and we're going to go through the first and one of the most important files called the Storyboard. So if you go on to the left here, you want to make sure that you're in um, your files navigator here, and then inside this folder you're going to see this file called main storyboard. So you want to click on that, then it's going to open up this view here. In this view you're just going to see an iPhone shaped square. Okay, and this iPhone shaped square is going to have a little arrow next to it. So this square here, or this rectangle, is called your view controller. Okay, and this arrow means that it's the first view controller. So a view controller, you can imagine, is just a page of your application. Okay, and because it has this arrow next to it, means that it's the first page of this application. If you don't see that arrow, you can click on this view controller here, and then you can make sure that this is set to is initial view controller, right? And then yeah, you should see this little arrow pop up. Great. So now we have this view controller here. What we're going to do is we're going to add a view to it. So you can go to the bottom right view, make sure that you're in the object inspector. If you don't see the right things, it probably means that you're not in the object inspector. And you're going to want to find labels. So you can, I see it right here, but you can also search, find that label, and just drag and drop. You can drag objects off of that little inspector into here. Let's have this centered, and let's say hello world. Okay, so let's drag this in the middle, and great, looks good. Let's run it and let's see what happens. It's going to build, and then look, we see hello world. Now this is funny because it looks like this hello world isn't actually centered. It's not centered vertically and it's not centered horizontally, but I put it right in the middle. Well, the reason for that is that every iPhone is different, right? Every iPhone has different screen size. So this screen size here it is just a generic iPhone. It's not optimized for the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus or whatever iPhone you're working on. So what you need to do is you need to actually set constraints. So we want this in the center X and the center Y of whatever view controller we're working on. So we want it to line up with these blue constraints here. And then now that it's selected, I'm going to go down to this bottom right button that says Resolve Auto Layout Issues. It has a little triangle in it. Looks kind of like a Star Wars fighter pilot. I'm going to click on that, and in the selected views, I'm going to select Add Missing Constraints. And you're going to see these like two blue lines pop up, striking through that label. And you're also going to see on the side here, this is your kind of view hierarchy. You're going to see this constraints pop up, and you'll see that now we have this label set to these specific constraints. You don't really need to know too much about that right now. We'll probably get into that a little bit later when we start adding more views, but really you just need to know that if you select the label and you click the little fighter pilot, and select reset to suggested constraints or add missing constraints, it's going to guess what you're trying to do and line it up accordingly. So let's run it again, and let's see what we get here. Much better. Okay, that's right in the center, right where we want it. Great. So we've added a label to the application, and now you have your first Hello World application up and running. Perfect. Well, that's really simple. We want to actually do a little bit more. Let's say if we want to change this text to have a certain color, change it to red. Change it to red. We can change different things about it, fix font size, minimum, minimum font size. You can change it to scale as this screen gets bigger. Yeah, a bunch of different things. We really don't need to know too much about this. So let's just set this back to black and then just leave that as it is. Great, but that's you get the idea of kind of how this attributes inspector, or this like control panel over here, the utilities panel, can work with items in your view, and yeah. Anyways, great. So now we have a label sitting in the middle. This isn't the app that we're going for today. The app that we're going to want to build is going to consist of two buttons. It's going to have a dog button and it's going to have a cat button. And depending on whichever button you click on, it's going to show a new page with a cat or a dog on it. Okay, so let's go ahead and just delete that. I just clicked the delete button, but let's go and instead exchange this for a button. So let's move button here, and let's call this dog, and then let's add another button right above it. I usually like to just add it until I see like a little blue constraint there. And I'm going to say cat, and I'm going to line these up vertically. There you go. And then I'm going to hold down Command and click both of them. So I'm selecting both of them at the same time. And in selected views, I can do reset to suggested constraints. Great. So now I should have all these constraints for my dog and my cat. And let's go ahead and run this, see what it looks like. And huzzah, dog and cat. And we can click on them and nothing happens. Now, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to present a new page when we click on either one of these buttons. So let's go back here and we're going to add another view controller. Okay, so we're going to go into image view, or yeah, we're going to go into our object controller or object inspector, and we're going to grab a new view controller and just drag it in. Great. Now, we need to figure out a way to get these buttons to open up this new view. So what we're going to do here is actually hold down Control, the Control button on your Mac, and then click and drag on the button, right? And you're going to see this little like blue segment, line segment come out of it. You're going to want to drag that segment over top of the view controller we're trying to go onto, and then just let go. Great. Now it's going to give you this little pop-up. This pop-up is just going to give you the options of how you want to show it. You can show, which is just going to like slide it in. You can present modally, which is going to make it look like it's, you know, coming in from the top, or show detail. You can look into, you know, how these show differently, but it doesn't really matter. Let's just do show for right now. And then let's do the same for dog. So Control, drag, and show. Great. Now, if you click on these segues here, they're called segues, you're going to see the corresponding button get highlighted. Okay. So we know this one's for the cat, and this one's for the dog. Great. And now let's add another label to our new view controller here. That says animal. Great. Okay, now we got to select it. We need to add missing constraints, and that should center it. Now let's click run. Great, that should give us a quick, simple app here. So cat and dog. We click on one of them, and it's going to present this new view controller animal. And now there's no way to get back, right? How do we get back? I'm just going to add another button, add it in the top left corner, and let's call this back. Great. Make sure that it's really up in there, and then go to our Fighter Pilot button and select Add Missing Constraints. And just like that, we're going to control drag back to this view controller, right? Because now we want this button to go to this view controller. And let's see, let's just do show. That's a funky looking arrow, but you can see that this view controller goes to this button here. Is this arrow going back to this view controller. Great. So let's try to run this again. See what happens. And huzzah, opens up and then back. It's just going back to that view controller. I know that doesn't look right, but that's what it's doing. Okay, cool. So we have this view controller here set up. Now, what we're going to want to do eventually, so this is going to be our animal name. And we're going to also want to add an image. So if you look at the image, drag an image in here. And yeah, great, we'll just center that here, right above that, and then we'll click Add Missing Constraints. That should put it in the place we want it to be. And then let's just, if you have this image selected, just so we know where it is, because what's going to happen is I'm going to run this. Actually, let's just run it before I do anything. Because this image view doesn't have an image in it, it's actually just going to show up blank. So it's almost going to be like it's not even there, really. So if I click on cat, yeah, you're not going to see it, but really behind the scenes there's an image view there. And what we're going to do, just so to make that more clear, is we're going to give this image view just a background color, right? So if we go into this little shield looking icon when we have image view selected, go into this little shield button, and we're going to change background. Yeah, let's do like a light gray color. Great. Now, let's try running it again. And what do we get? Aha, now that's where our image is going to go. Okay. Now, what you'll see is it doesn't matter if you click dog or cat, they're going to show you the same image, right? We'll get into a little bit later how to customize that, but for now, that's the end of the tutorial. Next time, we're going to see how we can connect this to actual code. Get started there. All right, see you guys.